Your dishes look clean. The plate looks clean. The glass looks clean. But here's the question almost nobody asks. What exactly are you washing them with? Most people have never once turned the bottle around and read the ingredient list. Today on the Truth Cart, we're counting down 10 dish soap brands that have raised concerns among ingredient watchdogs, consumer advocates, and ingredient-conscious shoppers. Number 10. Seventh Generation. Let's start with a brand that surprises a lot of people. Seventh Generation has built a reputation around sustainability. The packaging looks environmentally friendly. The marketing focuses heavily on being better for the planet. And compared to many traditional cleaning products, it definitely does some things right. But here's the problem. Many shoppers stop asking questions the moment they see eco-friendly branding. It's almost like a shortcut. Green bottle, plant imagery, environmental messaging, must be safe. Not necessarily. One of the biggest mistakes consumers make is assuming a company's environmental goals automatically mean every product is perfect. Some customers have complained about cleaning performance. Others have questioned ingredient transparency. And while the brand generally scores better than many mainstream competitors, it's important not to put any company on a pedestal. The lesson here isn't that Seventh Generation is terrible. The lesson is that even brands with good reputations deserve scrutiny. Because blind trust is exactly what marketing departments love. Number 9. Joy Ultra. Joy has one major selling point: price. It's often one of the cheapest bottles on the shelf. And let's be honest, when you're standing in a grocery store looking at 20 different dish soaps, the cheap one can be very tempting. After all, it's just dish soap. How different can they really be? That's the mindset many shoppers have. But low prices usually mean compromises somewhere. Consumer groups have raised concerns over ingredients commonly used in budget cleaning products, particularly certain surfactants and processing methods that ingredient-conscious shoppers often try to avoid. The average customer never hears about any of this. Instead, they see bubbles. They see grease disappear, and they assume the story ends there. But cleaning performance is only one part of the equation. The ingredients matter too, especially when you're using the same product every day for years. Joy works. Nobody is denying that. The question is whether there are better options available for only a few dollars more. Number 8. Ivory. If there were a Hall of Fame for marketing, Ivory would deserve a place in it. One word built this brand: pure. It's simple, it's memorable, and it's incredibly effective. Because the moment people hear the word pure, they relax. They stop questioning. They stop investigating. They stop reading. The problem is that purity means different things to different people. What sounds pure in an advertisement isn't always what consumers imagine when they finally examine the ingredient list. One area that often sparks debate is fragrance. Many shoppers don't realize that fragrance can represent a combination of numerous compounds without each one necessarily appearing separately on the label. That doesn't automatically make it dangerous, but it does make transparency more difficult. And transparency is exactly what ingredient-conscious consumers want. The bigger lesson here isn't really about Ivory. It's about understanding how powerful a single word can be. The best marketing doesn't sell products, it sells feelings. And Ivory has spent decades selling the feeling of purity. Number 7. Method. Method understands modern consumers better than almost anyone. Look at the bottle. It doesn't look like old-school dish soap. It looks stylish, minimalist, modern. Something you'd proudly leave on your kitchen counter. That's not an accident. The company has mastered visual branding. And honestly, it works. People love products that look good. But attractive packaging can sometimes create a halo effect. If something looks cleaner, healthier, or more premium, consumers often assume the formula must be better too. That assumption isn't always correct. Method has plenty of fans, but it also has critics who argue that people focus more on the aesthetics than the ingredients. The bottle gets attention, the formula gets ignored. And that's something we see repeatedly throughout this entire industry. Companies understand psychology. They know consumers make decisions with their eyes first and their brains second. Method isn't alone in doing this, but it's one of the best examples. Number 6. Ajax. Ajax doesn't sell beauty. Ajax sells power. The branding practically screams strength, heavy-duty cleaning, maximum grease cutting, industrial performance. Everything about it says one thing: this soap means business. And for some consumers, That's exactly why they buy it. But here's a question worth asking. Do you really need industrial-style cleaning chemistry for a spaghetti plate? Or a coffee mug? Or a cereal bowl? Sometimes stronger isn't necessarily better. Some ingredient reviewers have pointed to synthetic dyes and preservatives that don't actually improve cleaning performance. Instead, they help the product look more appealing or remain shelf-stable. Again, that doesn't automatically make a product bad, but it does raise questions most consumers never think to ask. Ajax built its reputation on toughness. The challenge for consumers is figuring out whether that toughness is solving a problem they actually have. Number 5. Palmolive. Now we're getting into the brands almost everyone recognizes. Palmolive has been around for generations. Parents used it. Grandparents used it. Maybe you're using it right now. And that's exactly what makes this brand interesting. Familiarity creates trust. In fact, studies consistently show that people are more likely to trust brands they've known for years, even when they know very little about the actual product. Palmolive benefits enormously from this effect. Consumers see the bottle and think, if it's been around this long, it must be good. Maybe, maybe not. Longevity doesn't automatically equal quality. The challenge is that many consumers stop researching once familiarity kicks in. The brand has already earned their trust. The decision is already made. Palmolive isn't necessarily bought because people studied ingredients. It's bought because people know the name. And when a brand becomes part of household culture, consumers often stop asking questions altogether. That's powerful. And it's exactly why companies spend decades building brand recognition. Number 4. Gain Ultra. Gain doesn't really sell cleaning power. It sells scent. Think about it. What's the first thing people mention when they talk about Gain? The smell. Not the surfactants. Not the formula. Not the ingredient transparency. The smell. That signature scent has become the brand. Millions of consumers associate it with a clean home, fresh laundry, comfort, childhood memories. Gain understands something very important. Emotions sell products better than facts. The moment a scent creates nostalgia, consumers become emotionally attached. And emotionally attached customers rarely read labels. That's where critics often raise concerns. Not necessarily because fragrance is automatically harmful, but because fragrance is often one of the least transparent categories in consumer products. Most shoppers have no idea what's behind that single word on the label. And that's exactly why ingredient-conscious consumers pay attention to it. Gain built an empire around a smell. The question is whether consumers are buying the formula or the feeling. Number 3. Mrs. Meyer's Clean Day. Mrs. Meyer's might be one of the most successful examples of branding in the entire cleaning industry. Just look at the bottle, the flowers, the colors, the names. Lavender, basil, honeysuckle. Everything about the product feels like it belongs in a garden rather than under a kitchen sink. And that's exactly the point. The branding creates an image before you ever look at the ingredients. Many consumers switch to Mrs. Meyer's because they want something that feels more natural. They want to move away from traditional cleaning brands. They want something that seems gentler, safer, healthier. But this is where things get interesting. Consumer critics often point out that there's a big difference between natural-inspired branding and what actually ends up inside the bottle. A product can use flowers on the label. It can use words like garden-inspired. It can create an entire image around nature and still contain ingredients that ingredient-conscious shoppers would rather avoid. That doesn't mean the product is automatically bad. It means consumers should evaluate what's inside the bottle rather than what's printed on the front. Because the front of the bottle is marketing, the back of the bottle is information, and too many people only read one side. Mrs. Meyer's became successful because it figured out something incredibly powerful. People don't just buy products, they buy identities. And the identity being sold here is simple. I'm the person who buys the healthier option. The problem is that marketing knows exactly how to sell that feeling. Number 2. Dawn. If you've ever washed dishes, you've probably used Dawn, or at least considered buying it. Dawn isn't just a dish soap, it's the dish soap. For millions of Americans, it's the default choice. Need dish soap? Buy Dawn. Problem solved. The company has spent decades building trust, and honestly, it's been incredibly effective. Think about the wildlife rescue commercials, the baby ducks, the oil-covered animals being cleaned. The message is simple. If it's gentle enough for wildlife, surely it's good enough for your dishes. That's one of the most successful marketing campaigns ever created in the cleaning industry. And it worked. Today, many consumers trust Dawn without ever looking at the ingredient list. Not because they researched it, not because they compared formulas, because they trust the brand. And that's what makes Dawn so fascinating. When a company becomes this trusted, consumers stop questioning it. The research stops. The comparison shopping stops. The label reading stops. Trust takes over. Now, to be fair, Dawn has plenty of loyal customers. Many people swear by it. Many people love its grease-cutting ability. Many people have used it for years without complaints. But that's not really the point. The point is that popularity should never replace curiosity. The most trusted brands deserve scrutiny, just like everyone else. Actually, they deserve more scrutiny, because they're influencing more consumers than anyone else. Dawn isn't number 2 because it's necessarily the worst product on this list. It's number 2 because it's the most trusted. And trust without investigation is exactly what the Truth Cart is here to challenge. Number 1. The real problem nobody talks about. After everything we've covered today, you might be expecting one final shocking brand reveal. But here's the truth. The biggest problem isn't Dawn. It isn't Palmolive. It isn't Gain. It isn't Mrs. Meyer's. The biggest problem is something much bigger. It's how we shop. Think about the last time you bought dish soap. Did you compare ingredient lists? Did you research independent ratings? Did you investigate company claims? Probably not. Most people don't. Most people buy based on habit. They buy what their parents bought. They buy what they've seen advertised. They buy what looks trustworthy. They buy what smells good. They buy what feels familiar. And companies know this. In fact, entire marketing departments exist because companies know this. They understand human psychology better than most consumers understand themselves. They know colors influence decisions. They know scents influence decisions. They know words like natural, pure, clean, and gentle influence decisions. They know people associate green packaging with health. They know people associate blue packaging with cleanliness. They know people associate family imagery with safety. And they use all of it, every single day. That's why the real lesson from this video isn't about avoiding one specific bottle. It's about becoming a smarter consumer. The moment you start reading labels, companies lose some of their power. The moment you start comparing ingredients, companies lose some of their power. The moment you start questioning marketing claims, companies lose some of their power. And that's exactly why so few people do it. Because it's easier to trust. It's easier to assume. It's easier to believe the front of the bottle. The Truth Cart exists for one reason: to help you look behind it. Number 3. Better alternatives. Now let's talk about 3 alternatives that frequently receive positive attention from consumers looking for ingredient transparency and simpler formulas. Alternative number 3. Ecos, free, and clear. Ecos doesn't have the biggest marketing budget. You probably won't see dramatic commercials. You probably won't see celebrity endorsements. And honestly, that's part of its appeal. Many consumers appreciate Ecos because the company focuses more on simplicity than flashy branding. The formulas tend to avoid many of the ingredients that ingredient-conscious shoppers actively try to limit. It's also surprisingly affordable. That's important because healthier alternatives often get criticized for being expensive. Ecos proves that simpler formulas don't always require premium pricing. If you're looking for a straightforward option that doesn't rely heavily on marketing hype, Ecos is worth considering. Alternative number 2. Branch Basics. Branch Basics has developed something of a cult following, and once you look into it, it's easy to understand why. The company takes a very different approach from traditional cleaning brands. Instead of selling dozens of highly specialized products, Branch Basics focuses on simplicity. One concentrate can often be used for multiple cleaning tasks around the home. What attracts many consumers is the emphasis on ingredient transparency. The company openly discusses what's inside the formula rather than relying on vague marketing language. Branch Basics isn't necessarily the cheapest option up front, but many users argue that its versatility offsets the higher initial price. Whether that's true for your household depends on how much you'll actually use it, but transparency alone has helped it earn a loyal customer base. Alternative number 1. Puracy Natural Dish Soap. If there is one alternative that consistently appears on recommendation lists from ingredient-conscious consumers, it's Puracy. The company has built its reputation around transparency. Not clever slogans, not emotional advertising, transparency. Consumers often praise the brand for clearly explaining ingredients and focusing on plant-based cleaning agents. Again, that doesn't mean it's perfect. No product is. But many shoppers appreciate the effort to provide information rather than relying purely on branding. And that's really what this entire video has been about: information. The more information consumers have, the better decisions they can make. Puracy understands that, and that's one reason it continues to gain popularity. The next time you're standing in the cleaning aisle, don't just look at the front of the bottle. That's the part companies designed to sell you. Look at the back, read the ingredients, research the claims, ask questions. Because the smartest shoppers aren't the people who buy the most expensive products. They're the people who understand what they're buying. Some of the brands we covered today have loyal fans, some have critics, some have both. But regardless of where you stand, one thing is certain: the more informed you are, the harder it becomes for marketing to make decisions for you. That's what the Truth Card is all about: looking beyond the label, looking beyond the commercial, looking beyond the hype, and finding out what's really in your cart.